Welcome to the I Am Restor'd podcast. I am Miss Leslie, and I am so glad that you decided to join me today. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that is near and dear to my heart. It is a true story. We're going to be talking about validation today. But before we get into that topic, I want to let you know where you can find me on social media. You can find me at I Am Miss Leslie on Instagram and Twitter. You can find me I Am Miss Leslie on YouTube and Facebook, and even on the web at www.IamMissLeslie.com. I'm looking forward to connecting with you. Don't forget to comment and subscribe, but let's get into this topic. Validation. This is a tough topic for me. I've tried to record this podcast like 3 times right now because it is still such a sore topic for me as an up and coming, artist and transformational speaker, and, the things that I'm delving into at this stage in my life. Because you really do want someone to look up to and someone to, talk to about what you're trying to do and where you're trying to go. And, someone who can give you insight on how to get there. And it's tough when you don't have that personal touch or that personal connection with an individual that you can call up and say, hey, I just, started writing my book and I just need a few pointers on how to do this and how to do that. But I want to encourage, my whole point of making this podcast today is to encourage myself and to encourage you that you can do this, whether you have someone to tell you that you can do it or not. It gets tough sometimes when, you're talented or you're gifted and, people see those gifts and those talents in you, but they don't have the tools to help you cultivate what it is that you do. They don't have the emotional tools or the ministerial tools or the patience or the time to invest in you. But what I want to encourage you today is you have to invest in yourself. It's nothing wrong with necessarily with the people that are around you, but sometimes you put into a situation where you have to be your biggest fan. And once you start to work on yourself and work on what you believe and how, what God has called you to do, then the other people will jump on board. But you have to be your first cheerleader. You have to be the one that says, okay, God, you said in your word that I was fearfully and wonderfully made. You said that greater is he that is in me than he that's in the world. You said that you have caused me to be a conqueror. You have caused me to triumph. You always cause me to triumph. Everything that you have set aside, you said that you knew me from the beginning. Before I was even born, you knew me. You put me together. You knit me together in my mother's womb with everything that I needed to have to be successful. Sometimes you have to have those conversations with yourself. You cannot wait for someone else to come and tell you what you should already know, because what is going to happen when they don't come? Are you going to stop because nobody is listening to what you have to say? Are you going to stop because nobody has bought at one single that you've put out? Are you going to stop if nobody is liking your statuses, or nobody has bought your product, or nobody has even turned a page in your first book? Are you going to stop? No, you cannot, because the purpose that God has for you is much greater than the people that you may be around at this moment and in this season. If you don't know how to do something and you're looking for a mentor, pray and ask God. Open up your heart to the universe. Maybe it's time for you to start looking in different places for things that you need. A lot of the things that I have learned that have opened my heart and up and my mind up to the opportunities that are out there, I haven't learned from anyone in my close circle. I've learned from people online, from people, through YouTube and through Instagram and through, other sources. And one person will recommend another person, and then I'll go look up that person, and that person will have this to say. You have to expand your territory. You have to expand your region. You have to expand your border, because if you don't expand your border, no one will ever know you, and you will never truly know what you can do and who you really are. There are plenty of opportunities for you to find it. There's this parable. I don't know if it's a parable or a saying that says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And that is, what I have found in my own journey. That when I was ready, it wasn't who I thought it was going to be. It wasn't my pastor. It wasn't my first lady in any of the churches that I went to. It wasn't, sort of my best friend, but it wasn't the people that I thought it was going to be who were going to encourage me to go to the next level. It was complete strangers that I have never even met before. People that have done it and are doing it, and that just show me a glimpse of what my life could be is if I kept pressing forward and if I keep moving forward. Sometimes you will never receive validation from the people that you're expecting from. And that's my first point. You might have great people around you, but they may never tell you or validate who you are. You have to know it within yourself. You have to know who God has called you to be. And if you forget, you have to remind yourself daily. Remind yourself daily who God has called you to be. I often think about affirmations, saying, looking in the mirror, and it's kind of weird sometimes, looking in the mirror and saying to yourself, I am great. I am strong. I am powerful. I can do this. And I did go to a church one time that had a confession, and every time they had service, they said this confession, or every time they went on a fast, every day they woke up and they said this confession. And I thought it was weird. I ain't gonna lie. I thought it was weird until I started confessing, or speaking over myself, or in, other terms, using affirmations. Sometimes you have to speak life over your own self, over your own goals, over your own dreams. You have to speak life into it because, we were created in the image of God, and God actually spoke things into existence. So we have that same power in ourselves to speak things into existence. We have that same power to transform and to change our world so it looks the way that we want it to look. But we have to have the courage to start saying those things that are not as though they were, and not to get all too churchy. But if you just look at some people who are not even Christians or secular, use the law of attraction and use the concept of speaking out loud, putting it out in the universe, putting it out in the atmosphere, what it is that you want. And because it is a universal law, those things keep coming back to them. They come to them, the things that they put out there. So I just want to encourage you to affirm yourself daily. Say, what, I am who God says I am. I am a great transformational speaker. I am an awesome worship leader. I connect people in ways to intimacy with God. You have to affirm yourself. One day I will change the nations. One day I will travel the world. One day I will do such and such, whatever it is that God has called you to do, or whatever it is that you have a desire in your heart to do. You need to start speaking those things out loud and really saying to yourself, this is what I'm going to do. I believe that it's going to happen. I believe it in my heart, because once you believe it and you put that belief after what you're saying, it's going to have to manifest. But you cannot wait for someone to speak it over you. Now, that's not to say that God won't send people in your life. Now, I'm not saying that I have been in situations where God has let someone come to my life and speak into my life, but 9 times out of 10, the thing that they're speaking to my life is something that God has already spoken over me. So they're just coming as a confirmation of who I am, or what it is that God has called me to do. You can't wait around for someone to tell you what God has already told you. And when you're mature and when you're ready, or even if you're not mature and ready, God may send someone to say, what, God is telling me that you were called to do this. But you already know in your heart that God has called you to do it. So it's more like a confirmation of a conversation that you have already had with God. And that is so important to, validation. It's not all, you're not going to have it every day, but sometimes God will send someone in your life to encourage you to keep moving forward. And that's all that you really, really need. When you get to the point where you're just looking everywhere for signs, like I said in a previous episode, sometimes when you're first starting out on this journey, you may ask God a million questions. But I also said that there is going to be a point in your life and a point in time in your situation where it's going to stop, and you're not going to hear God say, go left, go right, go 3 steps and come back 2. You're not going to hear that. What you're going to hear is, hey, I trust you to make the right decision. I trust you to keep moving forward. I need you to trust me because I already gave you the answer. This is just a spot where I can't really talk to you right now. I need you to move forward in faith. I need you to grow in your faith and get to the next level. It's just so many different aspects to where you are and who God has called you to be and how you're going to get there. Sometimes it just is a point of silence and growth where he's actually told you what you needed to do. Now you actually have to fill it out, and you have to fill it out. He's already told you how to get there. Now it's time for you to run with it. Run with it. One of the things that I think about all the time is how much time I wasted waiting for someone to invest in me, waiting for someone to give me the money to do A, B, C, and D, waiting for someone to offer me some studio time, waiting for someone to let me come preach at their church, waiting for someone to let me do this or let me do that. I spent a lot of time waiting when I knew what God has called me to do. You know, I spent my time waiting for the right door to open, you know, instead of going over there and kicking the door down. Like, you know, there are times where you should use a key, but there are times when it's locked so tight and nobody's giving you the key, but you know what you need is on the other side of the door, you know. But I had to come to the conclusion that nobody was going to do it for me. I had to do it for myself. Nobody was going to do it for me. I had to do it for myself. I have to do it for myself. And some doors that open for other people easily may not open for me easily. And maybe I have the key, but nobody knows that I have the key because I'm not opening my mouth to let anybody know that I have the key, you know, to whatever issue or problem they might have. You know, it's tough. It is tough. But sometimes you have to give yourself a kick in the pants to stop waiting on somebody else to do for you what God has given you the power to do for yourself. And I'll say it again, and you can say amen. Sometimes you have to go ahead and do what you're waiting for somebody else to do, but God has already given you the power to do it for yourself. You have to just move forward. You cannot live in fear and expect someone else to do more for you than you're willing to do for yourself. And maybe that's what God is waiting on. He's not waiting. The door might be open, but you waiting on a key, but the door is unlocked and you never reach out to see if the handle is open. You just see that the door is closed and assume that it is locked. You have to move forward and attempt and try and push yourself and go forward. And I believe that, you know, like I said before, that God will send people in there to encourage you to say, hey, keep going. But you might not have the testimony of saying, oh, John Smith was there from the beginning. It took me all the way to the end. You might not have that testimony. You might be able to say, you know what? God sent A, B, C, and D person in my life at just the right moment when I was going to give up. But I kept going. I kept moving forward. You might have more than one person to thank. You might have more than one person to give honor to. But at the end of the day, you have to take the first step. It's your dream, not mine. Whatever your dream is, it's yours. It's not mine. Nobody can run with my dream but me. And if I'm running, they can come along, run alongside me. You know, they can come and give me water along the way, but it's my race to run. It's your race to run. It's your dream to dream. It's your dream to bring into fruition. And one thing that I really want to encourage you is that you don't give up. No matter what it looks like, no matter where your heart is, no matter how broken your dream is, you have to keep dreaming, because I spent a lot of time recently here feeling trapped and sad and hurt and disappointed that my dreams had never come true. And I look at other people living out their dream and I know that I have gifts and talents just like theirs, and they're doing something that I want to do, and I don't understand why it's not happening for me. Well, part of the reason why it wasn't happening for me because I wasn't doing anything. So you have to believe in what you're doing and what God's called you to do. Even if you don't see any manifestation, you have to keep going. And if you don't get anything else from anything else that I've said today, you have to keep moving. You have to keep dreaming. You have to keep going, even when it looks like it's not happening for you. Even when it looks like you're not moving and you're standing in the same spot and you're going around in circles around the same thing, God is going to find a way to open that door if you keep moving, if you keep dreaming, if you keep pushing and praying and doing all the things that God has told you to do, it's going to happen for you. And it's going to seem to other people like it's overnight, but it's not going to be overnight because you put that time in with God. You put that time in with your dream. You put that time in and you made sure that you stayed on track. And even if you get off track, God will find a way to put you back on track, but you cannot give up on yourself. You cannot give up on God. I believe it's going to happen for you in the same faith that I have that it's going to happen for me, and that's saying a lot. I want to hear from you. I want to hear, what God is doing. I want to hear and connect with you, to see how he's moving in your life. So don't forget to comment. Don't forget to leave your testimony. Don't forget to hit me up on social media and let me know what your dreams and your goals and what you're putting out there, to happen in your life. Thank you again for listening. I hope that this time that we've spent together has been beneficial. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, don't forget to reach out to me. Don't hesitate to reach out for me. God bless, and I'll see you in the next episode.